Today we're going to figure out how much $10 can buy you in Buenos Aires. I've seen a lot of these videos that are basically just tourists gloating about how cheap a country is, and I think that's super tacky. That's not my intention today. What I want to do is I want to show you how much it really costs to travel around Buenos Aires, and also talk to you about my experience of navigating the local economy because of the really high inflation, because it does make traveling here a little more complicated than it is in other countries.
We are now going through one of the worst economic times our country has ever been through. Last year, inflation rate ended at 95%, and the interannual from last month, May to May, was 114. We now have the lowest salary in the last 30 years, and every month we beat the record because inflation goes so much faster. Every Argentinian knows that in the moment you have a peso bill in your hand, it will start losing its purchase power. And if you have something to spare, you change that into dollars immediately. You keep your pesos for 1 month, you lost 10%. Governments impose restrictions for Argentinians to buy and sell dollars legally. So immediately a black market sprang up. Yes, that we call the blue market, but it's a black market, okay? From your perspective, there are two different rates of the dollar. There are actually 18, but let's talk about these two. The official rate, which is only a fiction in the mind of a couple of government officials, and the real rate, which is the blue rate, which is the rate that every Argentinian has to deal with in their normal life.
If you want to bring in dollars and exchange them on the blue market, I will show you how later in this video. Right now we're inside the old San Telmo market. It's known for its Sunday market, which is much bigger. This is just the indoor portion, but it's still really, really beautiful. It's restaurants, patisseries, panaderías. This place is really good. I already ate here. As a visitor, the main thing you need to know about the market is that it's really lovely. It's got some great food options, but it is super touristy. Like this micro area, this exact part of San Telmo is probably the most tourist per capita that I've seen so far, but I haven't been to La Boca yet, and I think that's the epicenter. But that is not to say that San Telmo itself is somehow inauthentic. I mean, local people live here. All around me you can see residential housing, and it is a really unique, really interesting area. Before moving to San Telmo, I stayed in Palermo and then in Vicente Lopez, and this so far is my favorite. It's the closest to the city center. I just really like the vibe here. I was hoping to go to this English bookstore, Walrus Books, but it appears to be closed. This is one thing that I will say. On Google Maps, if you look up the opening times, that doesn't always mean that the place is going to be open. So far I've been out for about an hour. I have spent exactly 0 pesos, and we have seen some amazing things already. I love the train track crossings here in Argentina. There's always this windy little pathway. I feel like I'm at the airport going towards security. One thing I want to point out, Buenos Aires obviously is an absolutely massive city, and I've decided that I'm only going to walk in this video. I'm not going to take any taxis, and I'm not going to take any form of public transport, but the public transport here in Buenos Aires is actually really good. It's not as good as what you'd find in Europe, but they have a really big bus network. They've got the underground, and all you need to navigate that entire system is one card. So the sun is really strong. It's one card, and that is the SUBE card. You can find it in selected kiosks. I had a little bit of trouble finding a kiosk that would sell me one, so here's the website where you can figure out where you might find the places that do. But once you get that, you will load some credit onto it, and you'll quickly realize that the fares here are actually very affordable, even to the locals. They cost about 30 pesos per journey, which compared to getting taxis, as I have been through an app called Cabify, is just incredibly affordable. This area we've crossed into right now, by the way, full of skyscrapers and financial buildings, is called Puerto Madero. It's a very wealthy, upscale part of town. You can probably feel the contrast between here and San Telmo, where before. Personally, it's not the kind of area that I would choose to stay in because it's a little bit soulless. There isn't all that much happening. I likened it to Canary Wharf in London, if you've ever been, in a previous video, and this is what it looks like at night, by the way. Loads of pretty lights, loads of restaurants that you can go and visit. But obviously I haven't brought you to Puerto Madero just to stare at skyscrapers. There are some really interesting sights in this area. Number one being that sculpture over there. That was created by a famous Argentine sculptor by the name of Mora. And now we are gonna go to a local museum. ¿Necesito un boleto? Muchas gracias. This museum is actually really amazing, especially considering the fact that it's completely free, which is the case for a lot of museums here in Buenos Aires and in Argentina in general. The signs are all in Spanish, so if you don't speak Spanish, you might struggle a little bit, but you can use Google Translate. You can just point the camera at the sign and then it will translate it for you in real time. It's not always reliable, but it's pretty good. Pero para mí es perfecto porque estoy en Argentina por 3 meses para mejorar mi español. Entonces, bueno, vamos a aprender. This sculpture next to me is actually incredible. You can really see the folds of the clothing. Let me show you. I'm very impressed. See what I mean over there? Like, how do you carve something that feels so light and ethereal out of stone? Very talented. I'm actually really glad I found this little museum. I think it's really nice. And that little courtyard right there really reminds me of Morocco. Very nicely done. And look at this wall. This is amazing. This is a wall dedicated to inspiring women and activists and LGBTQ people in Argentina, but also outside of it. Here we've got Jane Goodall, we got Malala Yousafzai, and it's got QR codes so you can learn more about all these inspiring people. Wow, this place. And I'm gonna go buy some water. I should have brought my own bottle, but I forgot. That costs 330 pesos, so we've got 4,670 remaining. Also, I'm getting a little bit peckish, so I'm definitely considering that, but I think we're gonna push on to our next destination, and then I'm gonna go sit down somewhere. Okay, I got some bad news. The nature reserve that I wanted to go to is closed because of bad weather. I mean, okay. So... This is so good. I'm really glad that I decided to eat here because that was actually a spectacular lunch. That was the best choripan that I've had in Argentina so far, and it was not my first, I'll tell you that. I am really sad that the reserve is closed because I was really excited to see it and to show you around, but it's all good. I've got loads of other places that I could potentially go. And so far, we have spent about 1,000 of our 5,000. So I've got tons of budget left. Right now, we are on Puente de la Mujer. It's a famous bridge that is going to take us to the other side of Puerto Madero. And I realize this is a very nice problem to have, but I don't know what I'm going to do with the remaining money because I am incredibly full. You saw the size of that chori. And yeah, I don't know, I don't really want anything else. Like, I'm having such a nice time just walking around. I mentioned earlier in this video how beneficial tourism can be to the local economy. Obviously, tourism wouldn't be very beneficial if you spent literally zero money. But even on a day like this where I'm spending very little and traveling on a very tight budget, I'm still paying for accommodation and other things that are contributing to the economy. Obviously, days like this are really important as well, especially if you're traveling long term like I am. Before we get to Plaza de Mayo, I thought we would squeeze in another museum. This is a cultural center and it's got a few different exhibitions inside. It's completely free to enter again. And now we're going to wrap up by going to Plaza de Mayo. This is where Argentinians, people from Buenos Aires, known as porteños, this is where they gather to protest. Alright, welcome to Plaza de Mayo. This right here, this beautiful building is Casa Rosada. It is apparently named that because it was painted in bull's blood. I don't know if that's true, if that's an urban myth, but either way, it's a very nice shade. Right, now what shall we do with the remaining money? I think I've got an idea.
Hola.
¿Qué tal?
Muy bien, gracias. Una por 300. Muchas gracias. Chao.
This right here is Florida Street, and if you hear people shouting cambio,
Cambio, dólar, dólar, dólar.
it is people asking you to exchange your dollars on the black market, like I mentioned before. What a great day.
Perfecto, muchas gracias. Aquí tengo 3,000. Que tenga un buen día. Muchas gracias. Chao.
Okay, I've made my mystery purchase. I'm heading home where I'm going to reveal it. But first I want to talk to you about these statues. I have been walking for about 15 minutes now, and everywhere I go I see them. And I don't know what they are, but if someone knows, then please let me know in a comment below. And can I just say, this thing that I got, I am so incredibly excited about it. It costs 300 pesos. It's a little hint in case you're going to try and guess before we get to it in the video. But yeah, I've been wanting one for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I'm very happy with it. All right, I've made it back to the apartment and I can reveal my purchase. Let's go to the kitchen. In an attempt to deepen my cultural assimilation here in Argentina, I got myself a mate. And this is a very special type of cup because it's made with palo santo, which is a really popular type of wood here in Argentina. If you've ever come across it, you'll recognize that smell. And I am obsessed with that smell. In fact, I have been obsessed with that smell like since long before I ever came to Argentina, but it's so ubiquitous here. It doesn't really smell the same, but you can kind of pick up that faint aroma. Now I've googled these Palo Santo cups and apparently they're a bit temperamental, which will match my personality perfectly, but it does mean that I have to do a little bit of maintenance before I start using it. I need to cure it. And in order to cure this, I'm gonna fill it with a little bit of butter or oil. Well, in fact, I know it's gonna be oil because that's what I've got here, and the reason I'm pointing is because I was using it as a stand for my camera. I read on a website somewhere that the greener it is, the better the quality of the wood, and this is super green. And also you're supposed to look for the knots on either side and it's got them. So I hopefully haven't been ripped off, but if you have any opinions about this mate, then please let me know what they are in a comment below. I'm super tired now, unsurprisingly, because this is how much I've walked. I haven't even spent my full budget, which just goes to show you that traveling can be affordable. And I will see you in the next video, which might be from tonight, because tonight I am going to my first ever Argentine football game. Thank you for watching and bye!